Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, my name is Tish, and if you're a returning subscriber, hey family. It is Thanksgiving morning and I am up at the crack of dawn getting my food together. It is, well, really not the crack of dawn, it's like 6:46. I know my ancestors would be so disappointed in me because I remember my parents used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and they would start cooking on Thanksgiving. So I mean, it's only the 5 of us, so I'm sure whenever the food is ready, they should be fine with that. But I know growing up as a kid, food was ready by 10, 11 a.m. in the morning because they were up at the crack of dawn cooking. So right now I'm getting ready to cook my dressing. I have to cook dressing, I have to cook macaroni cheese, I gotta cook the candied yams, turkey, and ham. I think that's everything. This is where I keep all of my Thanksgiving, well, I just created this year, so this is where I will be keeping all of my Thanksgiving recipes and planning and all of that. So this is the menu. And like I said, it just have all of my recipes that I'm going to be cooking. I also have this page to keep up with what time everything went into the oven, so I'll know what time to take it out. So I created this spreadsheet. I don't know if y'all can see that. Yeah, I created this spreadsheet for that purpose. All right, y'all, let's do this. First on the list is my turkey brine. I made this the morning before Thanksgiving. For everything I cook today, I'll list the ingredients on screen. For the turkey brine, you place everything in a pot and bring it to a boil and be sure to stir because you want to dissolve the salt and sugar. Once it has cooled down, you can place it in a pitcher and then put it in the refrigerator until you are ready to brine your turkey. And the reason I'm cooling this off completely is because I don't want to cook my turkey, which is what it will do if you place your turkey in a hot brine. While my turkey brine was cooling in the refrigerator, I went ahead and boiled, then cooled my sweet potatoes. Nothing says Thanksgiving more than a good old-fashioned sweet potato pie. I know in some parts of the country they call it pumpkin pie, but here in the good old South, we call it sweet potato. And if you're wondering where I got those glass dishes from, they came 4 in a pack from Dollar Tree. I'm mashing up my sweet potatoes before adding my ingredients. So next I'm going to add the ingredients one by one, starting with the butter, my sugar, my nutmeg, cinnamon, and salt. And then I'm going to stir. Make sure you blend everything really well. I'm just taking my spatula and scraping the sides of the bowl to make sure everything is mixed in. I'm adding my eggs one by one and stirring really well after each one. But before I added my eggs, I brought them to room temperature by taking them out of the fridge 30 minutes before I started cooking. From what I've read, you don't want to leave them out longer than 2 hours. And this is the consistency after adding all of the ingredients. Nice and smooth. This was enough batter to make 3 pies. So here I'm just pouring all of the batter into the pie crust. I forgot to mention that I preheated my oven to 365 degrees. And I'm gonna let these pies cook for about an hour. After about an hour, I start checking for firmness. If they are still jiggly, I place them back and check every 5 minutes or so until they're done. Next on the list is a yellow cake with chocolate icing. This is hubby's favorite cake. This recipe is pretty straightforward. I just followed the instructions on the back of the cake mix box. And as I mentioned earlier, I brought my eggs to room temperature, and this is a total of 7 eggs, 4 for the pies and 3 for the cake. I bought this particular cake mix at Aldi for 89 cents. And I actually missed that Kroger sale where they had them for 75 cents, but I think I came out on top going to Aldi, because Kroger makes you buy 10 items, whereas I only bought the 1 item at Aldi because that's all I needed. So like I said, this recipe is pretty much straightforward. You just take all of your ingredients, pour them into the bowl, and mix them together. Right now I'm scraping the sides to make sure everything is perfectly mixed. I'm going to pour my batter into the cake pan, and then I'm going to stick it in the oven and let it cook for 33 to 36 minutes. But before I stick it into the oven, I have to get all of those air bubbles out. I remember seeing my dad do this all the time and I never understood why until now. Y'all, look how clean my oven is. It is still clean from that last video I put out where I cleaned my oven using a TikTok hack. And this is how my cake turned out, y'all. Hubby wants to cut a piece like right now. Now, y'all know the turkey is the star of the show, but this dressing, y'all, this dressing is the co-star, and I'm here for it. But the recipe calls for sage sausage. I couldn't find any anywhere, so I went ahead and got the country style, which worked perfectly. I'm gonna be using this miniature food processor to save time because I don't want to chop my fingers off trying to dice these vegetables up. So I'm gonna dice my veggies in this processor. I already have some frozen, but I didn't want to use frozen vegetables. I wanted to use fresh vegetables. It took about 4 celery stalks and 2 bell peppers to make 1 cup each. Y'all, I remember as a kid, my parents used to chop up all of their veggies the night before Thanksgiving, and they would store them in the refrigerator. And now that I think about it, that's probably what I should have done. That would have saved me a few minutes with this dressing. Once all of the veggies are chopped, you want to stir it into your sausage. Now, how long? It depends on how crunchy you want your dressing. My family doesn't like crunchiness, so I cook them all the way down. I actually cooked my cornbread 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I let it sit out to dry. Now, this recipe calls for 7 cups, so I'm just crumbling this up and putting it in a bowl. Since my measuring cup only goes up to 2, I'm gonna have to do this multiple times to achieve 7 cups. Next, you want to pour in your remaining ingredients, and you want to stir really well. This is where you add the chicken stock, and you can make it as moist as you want or as dry as you want. It depends on your taste buds. You want to take some of your butter and rub it all around the pan. This keeps the dressing from sticking to the bottom. Then pour the dressing into the pan, and at this point, you're supposed to pour the butter and mix it into the dressing, which I had completely forgotten. So I had to mess up my perfectly shaped dressing to add the butter. I have my oven preheated to 425 degrees, and you want to put it in the oven for 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, take it out and stir it really well. This keeps the bottom from burning. After you've stirred it, you want to place it back in the oven for another 25 minutes. After that, you have some delicious dressing. Next up is that holiday staple known as macaroni and cheese. This is actually my first time trying this recipe, so we'll see how this turns out. These are all of the ingredients you'll need. The first thing you want to do is create a roux. A roux is a flour and fat cooked together and is used to thicken sauces. I've always shied away from recipes that involves a roux because I can never get it right. Never. But today I was able to perfectly blend the flour and butter. Next, you want to introduce your cheese. I just grabbed a handful and stirred after each. When it comes to this part, stirring is your best friend. You have to stir, and stir some more. And just when you think you are finished stirring, stir one more time. You want to make sure you blend the cheese and the roux together. And this is how your sauce should look once finished. Next, you want to pour your sauce into the macaroni and mix it really well. At this point, if you want to add salt and pepper or whatever seasoning, this is where you would do it. And you pretty much add to taste. Once you have mixed it, you want to sprinkle some cheese on top. Once you add all of the cheese, you want to cover it with some foil and place it into the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you take it out, add more cheese on top, and then put it back in uncovered for another 20 minutes. Once you take your macaroni out, this is how it should look. The last thing I'll be cooking today is candied yams. Here are all of the ingredients you'll need to achieve this dish. I have my sweet potatoes, granulated sugar, brown sugar, butter, nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, and vanilla extract. The first thing you want to do is take your butter and cover your entire pan. Then layer the sweet potatoes, stopping after the first layer. Next, you want to take a handful of sugars and sprinkle it all over the sweet potatoes, both the white sugar and the brown sugar. You also want to take a pinch of the remaining seasonings and sprinkle them as well. You also want to hold off on the flavor and butter. Don't add those just yet. Layering allows all of those sweet potatoes to have flavor. If you just season the top layer, the bottom will be a little bland. But if you layer it and season as you layer, each piece will have that delicious flavor you're looking for. I repeated this process until all of the sweet potatoes were covered with all of the ingredients, minus the flavor and butter. Once I got to the top, I dumped the remaining sugars and seasonings. I also added a little less than 1/4 cup of water. Keep in mind, we're still not adding that flavor and butter just yet. We're going to cook it first and then we'll come back and add the flavor and butter. You want to cover your sweet potatoes with foil, leaving a little opening for ventilation. And you want to cook these for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. After 30 minutes, you want to take it out, and here is where you will add the butter and flavor. But before adding it, you want to mix the butter and vanilla flavor together, then pour it over your sweet potatoes. And then you're going to place them back in the oven for another 20 minutes or until your desired tenderness. This is my plate.
All right.
It's 4:07 p.m. and we're just now eating.
Yes.
I know y'all starving because they've been coming in and out of the kitchen all day.
For real, we have, especially me, and probably all three of them. Hungry.
Everybody. Dad went to sleep. He was so starving.
For real, and then now he over here watching
football. Yeah, we trying to watch A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
So, gotta wait till he finish watching football and then we can watch
I know something. You spent 3 days in the kitchen only for us to eat this singular piece of bread.
I hope not. Y'all better eat all that food on the plate.
I'm gonna take this bread. I'm going upstairs with that. Matter of fact, excuse me, don't go.
I've been standing on my feet so long, I don't even think I have feet anymore.
I ain't eating else my feet, bro. Go upstairs.
Huh?
That turkey is smacking. I gotta finish.
Oh, it's not done just then.
Did you swallow a whole piece of turkey?
No.
Swallow the bone.
I swallowed a chunk of it. My throat was like, what are you doing?
Y'all, I'm tired. I'm stuffed. The family is in there watching wrestling. And I just came here to jump on real quick. Y'all can hear them in the background getting all excited. So I'm about to go back in here and finish watching wrestling with them. I hope y'all had an amazing Thanksgiving. Let me know down in the comments if you plan to try any of the recipes. And if so, let me know how did it turn out. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, family.